Breeze here with your intentionally fabulous tip of the day. And today we're talking about anger. Are you still angry with your ex after your breakup? That one little message, that one little thought about something in the past, and those emotions all just come back. The pain is real, the anger is real, right? And you just want it to go away. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you like being angry and what that does for your adrenaline and the attention that it gives you. Well, I'm here to say that the anger is normal, the sadness, the depression, the loneliness, the shock, all of that is normal, but not forever. Don't stay stuck in anger. It is a terrible place to be. It is not a good use of your energy. But what do we do? So, number one is your identity. Know that you are not labeled as a divorcee, that your title that you gave yourself as terms of an ex-wife, a divorcee, those titles don't matter. All of those things are completely temporary. Your whole situation, your whole life may have completely changed. Where you live, what you drive, where you work, where your kids go to school, the amount of time you have your kid, like literally everything could have just changed in your life. So you need to identify with yourself, who you are and whose you are, and look to the inside to be fulfilled and look from higher places, look from a heavenly place down, not from a place of walking around as a divorcee, because that will just make you angry. So release that identity and look at a new identity of you being a whole healed person that can survive on her own and fill all of those empty places without another person. So that's number one. Number two is empathy. And I know this one may be hard, but for a moment, just put yourself in the shoes of your ex, I'll say ex-husband, and just imagine what they came to the relationship with, what went on before you even met them in their life. They were raised by parents who weren't perfect, who were raised by parents who weren't perfect. And so they came with whatever they came with, whether they were abandoned, orphaned, abused, even if they had a great home, but there's just dysfunction everywhere. And people bring these ideals and expectations in. And sometimes when we can put the shoe on the other foot, it will just help us. Remember that you picked them because there was something great about them to start with. So try and remember those things, and then remember maybe some of the difficulty in their life that may have made them make the choices that they did. It could have not been about you at all. They could have hated themselves, totally been in self-loathing, and they just didn't know how to function and communicate. Number three is love yourself. Come from a place of just giving yourself some grace, giving yourself some mercy. Treat yourself as kind as you treat your friends and even strangers. Be good to you, care for you, love you, and just internalize a little bit, not your problems, but just the self-care and the self-love. The fourth thing is forgive yourself. This is hard. I personally felt like a huge failure when my marriage ended. I carried that for a long, long time. And along with that, came bitterness that was really directed at my ex. And so when you can forgive yourself, you will physically feel a release and freedom actually happen. And that's a whole process that I'd love to unravel for you another day. This may be a hard one also, but number five is bless him. And I'm using him as the example here. And you might say, Kelly, you are crazy. Like, you have no idea how unfair and how unjust and just unreasonable and difficult and hard and wrong that things were in my relationship. How could you possibly tell me to blood? He abused me. I mean, whatever it was, I am not minimizing that. I'm just saying when you can forgive yourself and forgive and bless him, that brings you a whole new amazing level of freedom that you probably have never experienced in your life. But when you can say, you know what? Good for him and his new girlfriend. Good for him and his new wife. Good for him that they're going on vacation. because you've heard of that thing called karma, right? You know what they say about karma, and it's a universal principle. What goes around comes around. So if you're harboring resentment and you're directing hate towards them, what you give is what you get, and what's inside of you is what comes out of you. So you're just filling yourself with hate. Another thing is to disconnect. So don't be so intimately involved in what's going on in their life. Obviously, if you have children, there's some minimal communication that has to happen. But don't be on their social media. Don't be tracking them. Don't be asking friends and family, what's going on in their lives. Don't be stalking them. You need to have the space. Otherwise, you're going to get in this cycle of hatred and you're just going to keep kicking it up over and over and over. So you need the space. Give yourself 30 days, and just set those boundaries for yourself to have distance and watch the hatred get less and less and less. Another is be responsible for your part. Even if it was so horrific and unthinkable, it wasn't 100% him and 0% you. Now, I'm not saying you did anything to deserve any mistreatment or abuse or disloyalty of any kind, but I'm saying that it wasn't 100% him and 0% you. And when you can own your part, and I know it's hard to do, but man, it's good. You will probably shed some tears. I shed a lot of tears. I wasn't 100% right. And a lot of times, what happens is when you can look at it now from a higher level back on your relationship, you'll see that the two of you may have been in two different sides of a ditch. So in my case, I was really ramped up and intense and hyper responsible because he tended to be less responsible. So I became more intense and then I enabled him to be less responsible. And then I got resentful. And anyway, it became this cycle. Your relationship, maybe it was something different, but that's typically what happens. If you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling insecure, you're going to do something, whether it's anger, silent treatment, threatening. So to hold your part in it. And then finally, I would say get help. Absolutely don't try and do this by yourself. Going through divorce on your own is like taking a baby aspirin when you have cancer. You need support, you need help, whether it's professional help or the support of friends, family. I actually have a group that I would love for you to join. It's called Intentionally Fabulous, and it's specifically for women going through any stages of separation, divorce, post divorce, any stages of a relationship breakup where you just want to heal through that grief and get better and live this amazing bonus life. So on Facebook, search for Intentionally Fabulous. And I also have a program called Single Redefined. So if you go to intentionallyfabulous.com, you can see all the details there. So I hope this helps you. If you know anyone going through any stages of separation and divorce, anyone who's just still stuck in anger and needs to hear this, please do share it with them. Thank you and have an intentionally fabulous day.